Good morning, traders. This is Shane Scott, the moderator of Newsware's Trade Talk. At Trade Talk, we're providing you with the up-to-the-minute news on the market, along with the facts, themes, and short-term trading ideas for the day ahead. Joining me today is our trading anchor, Bill Olson, who brings over 30 years of institutional trading knowledge to our program. Let's go ahead and get things started with our markets update. U.S. futures are on the rise this morning, with S&P futures up 0.44%, Dow futures up 0.31%, and NASDAQ futures up 0.6%. Alongside the futures gains, the dollar has weakened today. And with the yield on the 10-year Treasury benchmark settling back around 1.3%, the focus is turning to corporate earnings reports. Discussions on rising yields has been very pronounced this week, which has raised concern over the staying power of the New Year rally and whether a rise in borrowing costs and price pressures could derail the economic recovery. Oil has fallen below $60 a barrel as wells slowly restarted in Texas after being hit by the big freeze. The U.S. could potentially be paving the way for more crude exports from the Persian Gulf as the White House announces a willingness to meet with Iran. Elsewhere in markets, gold slid amid its worst start to a year in 3 decades. Over in Europe, the Stock 600 index fluctuated before heading higher for the first time in 4 days. The euro strengthened after Germany's manufacturing PMI climbed more than the forecast in February, though composite figures for the common currency region were less encouraging. Meanwhile, the British pound briefly rallied above $1.40 for the first time since 2018. Bill, what are you seeing as far as market updates?
Listen, all's green. See, the S&Ps are showing good gains. They've been positive all morning long, and in the pre-market, that's a good sign. And these futures are trading higher ahead of the data that's coming out on the services and manufacturing sectors this morning. These reports are expected to point to really a robust economic recovery. So, it's a net positive. Yeah, there continues to be concerns with the interest rates, but the prospect of the positive manufacturing data, along with the continue talk of the $1.9 trillion fiscal stimulus package, it's too strong of a catalyst today. So, you're going to see some green all day today.
Well, let's go ahead and look at earnings to watch today. Bill, what type of earnings are we looking at?
Well, let's talk about what happened last night in terms of the earnings reports. You had Trade Desk. This is ticker TTD, Tom David. They delivered a beat of $1.83 on higher revenue. You see the stock, it's actually down 1.36% this morning, though. AMAT, they delivered an 11-cent beat on higher revenue, and they're up 5% this morning. Dropbox, this is a one-trick pony. They got one product. They delivered a 4-cent beat on higher revenue, and you're seeing the stocks being sold off. It's down about 4.8% this morning. OLED, these guys are the manufacturers of the screens for the iPhones. Not surprising. They delivered a 49-cent beat on higher revenue, which is why you're seeing the stock up 2.89% this morning. And Roku, ticker ROKU, they delivered 54-cent beat on higher revenue. That's why the stock's up, but it's only up 2% this morning. And there are reasons for that. They're doing a secondary, and I'll give you more on that later. But those are the earnings that came out, this morning and last night.
How about insights as far as upcoming earning announcements?
Let's talk about Nautilus, ticker NLS. They're coming out with their earnings on Monday morning. It's priced for a 4.3% move. Palo Alto Networks, they're coming out Monday afternoon. They're priced for a 2% move. Macy's is out Tuesday morning with a 15% move expected. And Home Depot, they're also coming out Tuesday morning, and you're looking for a 5% move there. Home Depot typically runs into the earnings and then sells off when the earnings are announced. So you got to be careful with these Home Depot earnings, because even if they're good, the run up into it is typically too much, and then the traders start to lighten their positions right away once those earnings numbers are hit. So you got to be careful with Home Depot.
Well, moving into our economic reports, Bill, what type of reports are we seeing today?
9:45, we have the PMI Composite Flash report. This is a big one. 10 a.m., we have existing home sales. Also at 10, we have the e-commerce retail sales, which isn't a widely followed report, but it's interesting sometimes to read. At 1 o'clock, Baker Hughes rig count. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually dropped this week or is, marginal gain because of what happened in Texas with the winter storm. But the rig counts have been steadily increasing for the last 4 months. So that's one to watch. In Fed speak, you got Philadelphia Fed Bank President Thomas Barkin speaking at 8 a.m. And then you have Boston's Fed Bank President Eric Rosengreen, who's scheduled to speak at 10 a.m. this morning.
Well, moving into our morning's critical insights, starting one off with Romeo Power, ticker RMO. The company just signed an MOU with Ecelix, which is a private developer of silicon anode battery materials, to improve cell technology. So then their plan is to create a battery for electric class 8 trucks that will reduce the weight of the vehicle by 25%. It's like 9,900 pounds, and thus allow for 660 miles of range on a single charge. So 660 miles of driving range. Romeo's share price is up 7.34% in pre-market. In other news, Pfizer, ticker PFE, and BioNTech, ticker BNTX, just sent new COVID-19 vaccine stability data to the FDA, showing that their vaccine can be stored as high as under 15 degrees Celsius, or negative 15 degrees Celsius for up to 2 weeks in common pharmaceutical freezers rather than ultra low temperature storage. So PFE is up 0.23% in pre-market, and BioNTech is up 0.74%. Another story on COVID-19 vaccination, Johnson & Johnson, ticker J&J, has submitted application for emergency use authorization of the single-shot vaccine to the World Health Organization, WHO. Johnson's share price is up 0.46% in pre-market. In other news, Kalera, ticker KLR, has signed an agreement to acquire Mgage, which is a global mobile messaging provider, for $215 million in cash and stock. Kalera's up 13.91% in pre-market. Another acquisition story, Redfin, ticker RDFN, said that it will buy RentPath for $608 million in cash. One on Uber, ticker UBER. The UK Supreme Court decided to uphold a ruling that Uber's drivers should be classified as workers and not independent contractors. So with that, a 5-year legal dispute between Uber and a group of former drivers who claimed they were entitled to employee rights has come to an end. So now Uber is forced to go before the employment tribunal to see what kind of compensation it has to give the drivers involved in the case. And ultimately, thousands of other drivers could be making similar cases against them. Uber share price is down 1.47% in pre-market. In other news, Energis, ticker WATT, has climbed over 66% in pre-market on the news that the company is working with Apple to develop a wireless battery pack for iPhone charging. Lastly, for me, one on Baidu, ticker BIDU, and Geely. They've reportedly hired Mobike co-founder as CEO of the new electric vehicle joint venture. Baidu's chief executive, Robin Li, confirmed that a CEO has been hired without mentioning a name, and has added that they will launch a new electric vehicle model in about 3 years. Baidu's share price is up 2.61% in pre-market so far. Bill, what are you seeing as far as this morning's news?
Shane, I break my news alerts down into specific segments on events and onto sectors. And it just allows me to kind of quickly capture the hot news stories on the day before you see the markets price in the positive or negative side of the news. And, let's start off with my FANG alert. Next week's a big week for these FANG stocks. Congress is going to be holding a series of hearings that's going to start on Thursday. They're considering legislation proposals to address the rise in the abuse of market power on the online big tech firms, and they want to modernize the antitrust laws to kind of compel these firms not to be stifling competition. We see a story on Amazon as well where there's some groups similar to online that sell online, along with Amazon, that are representing these major tech companies. They're filing suit challenging Maryland's new online advertising tax law. Uh, Google, this was an interesting story. They're working with the Bank of New York on a machine learning technology to predict when treasury market trades will fail to settle. Uh, Google designed this as a cloud-based system. Bank of New York is running it out of their server farm. You can't run trading programs on the cloud. It's the opposite. When you're trying to do high frequency type trading, you need speed, and the cloud is not speed. It's you're sharing you're sharing utilities, and so it's very interesting that Bank of New York said no, running it out of our server farm. My Dow Jones 30 alert went off on IBM as they're considering a sale on their Watson healthcare unit. Johnson and Johnson, they submitted for emergency use listing to the World Health Organizations for its Janssen single dose COVID-19 vaccine candidate. Here's my secondary alert. We talked about Twilio's earnings earlier. They also said they're going to be doing a 3.75 million share spot secondary that's priced at $4.25. The deal size was actually increased to 1.59 billion in common stock, and that's up from the initial plan of 1 billion. ClearPoint, this is ticker CLPT. On Tuesday, they priced their public offering of 185 million common shares at 23.50. Stock's trading about 25, so it still has a little room to go lower. I have this strategic review alert that I watch often, and it hit on ticker GVA. This is Granite. They're going to be restating certain financial statements. That's negative. That's very highly negative for ticker GVA. And they say that these actions further support the results of their strategic review. My mergers alert tab, it hit on that Redfin story that you mentioned earlier. They're buying in RentPath for $608 million. My FDA watch, I just want to keep in mind Serapin, that's ticker SRPT. They got a PDUFA date that's coming up on February 25th, and stocks typically run into those PDUFA dates, especially if there's an approval as expected. So you want to start watching shares of SRPT.
Well, moving into our Trade Talk picks for today, I'm picking Romeo Power, ticker RMO. They just signed that MOU with Accelix. They've got some very interesting technology they're bringing up that's going to be dropping the weight of these Class 8 trucks, which are big trucks, by the way, dropping it by over 9,000 pounds, making it so these trucks can go over 660 miles flat on a single charge. It's a pretty big deal, especially since electric trucks are taking over as far as what we see coming out. Everything coming out very soon is going to be like that. So this is a big step in a very efficient direction for that market. So this is something I can see a lot of excitement behind. I don't know if I'd get in right at the moment of open, since it's 7% up already in pre-market. I think I'd want to wait at least the first 30 minutes and see a drop and then get in afterwards. So let's look for a drop in share price. It's up 7. Let's see if it can at least get down ideally to 4 or 5% and then come in after that. What's your pick looking like, Bill?
Well, my pick is Palo Alto Networks, PANW. I was looking at the stocks trading 390. It really looked good. The call volume was very strong. Earnings are coming out. They're coming out Tuesday, I believe, and the price targets are being raised across the board. And the demand for networking security is said to be very high. It just rallied a little bit, though. I mean, it was trading at 390. Now it's at 397. It's up $6. So I really like it at 390, which is where it was when I first picked the stock. So if it sells off a little bit, it's a good play. Anything under 394, 393.50 is a good target price to get in at on Palo Alto Networks today.
Well, moving into our hot off the press. So this is the news that's hitting the tape as we speak that will be moving the stocks today. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So, Bill, looking at our newswire alerts and seeing the headlines that are streaming in, which are the ones we should be letting traders know about?
United Airlines, UAL, they're planning a new nonstop service between Boston and London's Heathrow. I noticed the story on Robinhood. This, came from the ex TD Ameritrade CEO, who basically came out and said these guys need to go public via an IPO or a SPAC. Considering the liquidity issues that almost killed the firm during the GameStop mania that was going on. I also see Cisco. They just completed their acquisition of IMI Mobile. That was an interesting story.
One on Honda Motor, the ticker HMC. Maib is scheduled to become the director, president, and CEO with resolution of ordinary general meetings.
Here's a good one. Walgreens, ticker WBA. They're going to start receiving 480,000 COVID-19 vaccine doses a week. That's a positive. You don't go into Walgreens and just get the shot. You're also picking up something else. So that's a good play for next quarter's earnings.
Mm-hmm. Headline on Astellas, ticker ALPMY. They announced positive top-line results from their recent phase 3 trial.
We know that Biden said that he's willing to open up talks with Iran. News story just came out, says Iran demands U.S. makes first goodwill move before pushing for talks.
Big move by Vasinex, ticker VCNX. It just climbed up 100% this morning after 2 multi-project deals with leading pharmaceutical companies became leveraged.
Ticker SF, Stifel Financial acquires North Atlantic Capital's Future Ventures investment business.
One that follows up on Uber, ticker UBER. Uber's to launch a nationwide consultation in the UK after the Supreme Court ruling. Anything else interesting for you, Bill?
No, that's all I'm seeing.
Same here. So that'll do it as far as what's hot off the press. But traders, keep in mind, you can receive these same breaking stories just like us simply by subscribing at newsware.com. Check us out for a free trial today. It will definitely up your trading game. Moving into our scoreboard, talking about how our picks did from Thursday. I had Hormel Foods, ticker HRL. It opened at $47 and it closed at $47.49 for a 1.04% gain. However, if you didn't get into this one right at the open, which maybe it could have been tricky to do, the first 2 minutes tops, it was to your benefit because the stock had dropped down to as low as $46.38%, really just spiked down very quickly and hovered there for about the next 15 minutes. So it was a good time to grab it for a lower price, below $47. And that gain could have, took you to as high as 2.39% for the day. So either way, we had some gains and it was a nice pick. How'd yours end up doing, Bill?
Well, I did Boise Kincaid. This is an earnings play. The earnings coming out next week. The stock opened up, I think $50.88, and then it sold off. And if you recall, I was like, you want to get this thing at 50 or below. And sure enough, around 1 o'clock, it hit that number, and then it just bounced 0.5% from there. It was nice. It was profitable. It wasn't the 1% I was looking for, but you got to remember, this is kind of an earnings play. And this is a lumber company, and lumber prices have really gone through the roof last year. So it's one to continue to watch, Boise Kincaid.
Nice. Well, that's going to do it for us here at Trade Talk. But traders, you know what to do. Let's get out there. Let's make some green.